and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for World Cup fantasy content for this 2022 World Cup. My name is Dan, and there's no football on today. There's no World Cup football on today, and I'm at a bit of a loss. I've been spending pretty much all day, every day watching football, and now suddenly I'm gonna have to find something else to do with my life. I don't know about you guys, but there is still a lot of things to think about and to talk about. We have got Matchday 5, the quarter-final round, coming up very, very soon-ish. We've got 2 days, basically, to think about things, to plan things, to work out what we're going to be doing for Matchday 5. The quarter-finals, the first game of which, I'll show you right now, guys, is Croatia versus Brazil at 3 o'clock UK time on Friday the 9th of December. So just a couple of days to think about it, which is, I mean, at least it's kind of good. We actually get a little mini break between match days. Let me show you my scores from match day 4. I did unfortunately take a bit of a red arrow. We've gone down in the ranks slightly. We're down to 8,301st, which is still it's definitely still a respectable rank, but I really didn't do too well on the captaincy personally. This is what I did. I started off on Messi, thought, you know what, I'm going to stick with Messi, 7 points. That's, you know, as a respectable score, we'll stick with it. I'm not going to roll the dice on this one. I don't think France will score too many goals against Poland. Then Mbappe put out an absolute masterclass, 15 points. I was devastated. I thought, you know what, it's fine. I've only lost a few points. Richarlison's up next. Maybe I should go for Richarlison, and decided, you know what, I don't. Neymar is starting. Neymar's probably going to take the cake. He's going to take all of the points. Should I go for Richarlison? I think I'll leave it. And after 2 regrets, I thought, okay, finally, we've got Bruno Fernandes here. I've lost out on a few points by not captain Mbappe, by not captain Richarlison. Let's go for one more try. This time I'm actually going to go for it. I think Portugal are going to score a few goals against Switzerland. And they did. A lot of goals against Switzerland. Bruno Fernandes, 1 assist. That was it. Just the 1 assist. So, unfortunately, it wasn't to be. I don't think I've done too well on captaincy in general over this tournament. But aside from that, I seem to be hitting everything other than captaincy. Obviously, it would be nice to have had Denzel Dumfries for this match day. But, you know, overall, I'm pretty happy with my scores. I just wish I could nail the captaincy a little bit better. Maybe we'll improve that as the final match days go on, or maybe I'm in desperate need of that power captain chip, I guess. But there we go. So, right, here we have in front of us, guys, next is my current team. So, hopefully you guys remembered from my stream I did on, when was it? Saturday? Saturday? I want to say Saturday. Whenever the kind of deadline day for match day 4 was. Hopefully you guys remember from that stream where I said about making sure you use your transfers before match day 4 ends. If you had any spare transfers, obviously we got, if we go to the rules here, we can see during round of 16, you get 4 transfers, right? So hopefully you guys use those 4 transfers to either react to things during the match day, or if not, to use them to try and set yourself up for the following match day. I certainly did that. I made a couple of moves. I brought in Paqueta, I brought in Guerrero, and who else? I brought in one more player. Oh yeah, Costa I brought in. So I made a couple of changes. Just kind of some rough changes to try and get myself set up for this next match day, which is, I think my team, even now, before doing anything, I think it's absolutely fine for the match day. But what I'm going to do today on stream with you guys, we're going to build a, well, I guess we'll call it a wildcard team, really. Just try and lay out what the perfect team for this match day might be. And going through that, we'll kind of maybe get an idea of what kind of transfer moves we'll be looking to make as we go into the quarterfinal stage. And I'm sure a lot of you guys do have your wildcards as well. And if so, this is going to be very useful for you. So yeah, we're going to get on straight with that. Guys, if you don't mind liking the stream, that would be massively appreciated. I'm going to open up a private browsing tab, which has many uses, just so it logs me out, and then we can build a team on there. Let's change this over now on the browser and change to this one. And yeah, we're just going to start from scratch and make a team of players that we like. Let's get up the fixtures because this is how we like to go through it. Fixtures World Cup. Put them up in front of us and we can just have a look at them, I guess. and see where we're going to be targeting, really. And yeah, as always, guys, at this stage of the tournament, there is no such thing as an easy fixture. There are going to be a few surprises. We saw a surprise with Morocco beating Spain. Interesting stuff. But again, look, you go through these fixtures, you can see clearly that there's 2 games that are hard to call and 2 games that are easier to call. So the 2 fixtures you see on the left here, Croatia versus Brazil. You would say Brazil would be heavy favourites in that game. This game, Morocco versus Portugal. And Morocco, I rate them a lot, but you would still say that Portugal are favourites in that game. We go over to the right-hand side. Netherlands versus Argentina is going to be pretty difficult to call, but you're probably going to say Argentina are more likely to go through there. And then the next one, England versus France. Again, is that clear in France's favour? Some statistics models are suggesting that maybe England have a good chance of going through here, but at the end of the day, I think we're all favouring France. By the way, Mbappe not been seen in training, so maybe that factors in. So, right, let's start off. So, as we said, Croatia versus Brazil. I think that's pretty. I don't want to say it's obvious. But it's very, very likely that we are going to see Brazil go through. Your budget now is 100, not 105. Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to pretend a little bit here. But yeah, obviously on this screen, making a new team, it says budget 100, but you get 105 if you've been playing for a while. So yeah, let's start off with Brazil. I think, you know, we can go for 5 players from one team now. So I think we go 5 players for Brazil. What do you reckon, guys? We probably agree with that one. 5 Brazil players seems pretty obvious, right? So let's start off with some defenders. So I want to go for Alisson first of all. I think he's the good goalkeeper to go for right now. You know, you're just pretty much sorted with him for the rest of the tournament. And then after that, it's kind of up to you. If we go through Brazil's stats, Brazil World Cup stats, we'll have a look on FB Ref. And this is going to be really small for you guys on screen, so you might have to look and listen. But yeah, if you look at non-penalty expected goals plus expected assists, we are seeing that Richarlison is topping the table at the moment. Neymar is slightly lower, but potentially because he's played less minutes. If we go per 90, still Richarlison at the top. We've got Bruno Guimaraes up there as well, but he is not going to be, he's probably not going to be starting. Rafinha is a really interesting shout. He's actually putting up better non-penalty numbers than Neymar, but we do know that Neymar is going to be on penalties as well, which could kind of put it in his favour because they are close. Rafinha and Neymar, they are quite close. So certainly the 2 attackers you want to be looking at are Richarlison and I would say Neymar, but Richarlison is an interesting shout as well. The only thing about Richarlison, he's a little bit more creative than he is kind of, you know, taking shots on. So we're probably going to see Neymar getting more goals, Rafinha getting more assists. I think Neymar edges it for me, ahead of Rafinha. The really frustrating thing about Brazil is that they have, and you can see here, guys, they play with, well, you know, their favourite 4 players to play in those attacking positions are Vinicius, Neymar, Rafinha, and Richarlison. So 4 forwards, but you can only have 3 forwards in this fantasy game, which is frustrating. But because Brazil are those heavy favourites, I'm going to suggest the double up on Neymar and Richarlison. Going to suggest that one there. I think there's a good chance there that we have got some opportunities. You know, some opportunities there to get some goals. If you look through these fixtures, you look, where do I think the goals are? Brazil versus Croatia seems the most obvious one, I would say. Do you guys agree with me or not? Let me know in the chat. Do you think there's any other games in here where we may see a team that scores a few goals? That one stands out to me. And again, no offense to Croatia. Fantastic that they've got to the quarterfinals. But any fantasy game really is a game where we're kind of looking at the most likely outcomes rather than, well, trying to put our heart to the side, right? Even though we all like an underdog. So in terms of defenders, I kind of would be looking at getting a defender with at least a chance of getting attacking returns. And that is kind of difficult to do because typically the defenders in this Brazil team just defend. That's kind of what they do. But we are seeing that Thiago Silva and Marquinhos are showing a little bit, just a little bit of attacking potential there. So I would be between those two guys, Thiago Silva and Marquinhos. Marquinhos is slightly cheaper, so maybe that edges it towards him. We are going to have to be a little bit careful with our budget because we're basically picking from from expensive teams. So everyone's expensive. It's kind of difficult. People saying Portugal. Yeah, I mean, look, on paper, I absolutely agree with you. But if we go through Morocco's results, bear with me, guys. If we look at Morocco's results, you can see 1 goal conceded during this entire tournament. One single goal conceded. They've actually been keeping it really tight, and we saw that Morocco's game plan against Spain was to really keep things quite deep. Really try and defend. Defend. And Spain got a couple of half chances, but Spain didn't really get a lot of real chances. Their XG was very low. They didn't take on too many shots. The chances they did have were quite low quality chances. So overall, yes, on paper, Morocco looks like a good fixture, but they are defending very well right now. And you would say that Spain, I know this goes against everything we saw yesterday, but you would say that Spain are probably a better attack than Portugal. And yet Morocco were able to keep Spain out very, very well. So, are we going to see a similar situation there? I don't really fancy Morocco to score too many goals necessarily because they do have a very clear game plan of trying to defend and nick a goal, which is absolutely what they should be doing right now, especially at this stage in the tournament if they want to make the semis. But overall, I think Portugal, I'd be leaning towards defenders rather than attackers. But anyway, back to Brazil. So we've got 4 players. Can we get in one more? I would try and squeeze in one more. And the last player I would say is either go for a second defender, it really depends who is going to start, really, doesn't it? We're not really sure who's going to start at left back. Or right back, to be honest. If one of Alexandro or Telles is available, then maybe they go in left back. If not, Eder Militao will play at left back. At right back, it could be Danilo or it could be Eder Militao. Going to be kind of difficult to predict that. One thing I would say that I brought in Danilo last match day, and the great thing about Danilo is the fact that he gets subbed off early. So you can, if a late goal is conceded, then maybe you gain something. Some of you guys saying that Spain are not a better attack than Portugal. That's an interesting point. I mean, I feel like Spain are a much more creative team than Portugal. Understandably, they don't have that finisher unless Morata is playing. For some reason, he wasn't playing. But no, certainly I would say that Spain typically will create more chances. But anyway, yeah, so we'll go for a second defender potentially. It's difficult to say which of the fullbacks will be playing. I would probably go for a fullback next. So Danilo, Eder Militao, Alexandro or Telles. That might be a decision to make late on. So remember, guys, because this Croatia versus Brazil game is the first game in the quarterfinals, we can just leave it till the last minute before making that decision. So no harm in waiting a little while for that one. Again, Brazil, good defensive team, good chance for clean sheet. So that is an option. But my other option is going to be actually Lucas Paqueta. So Paqueta is looking really good, and he's kind of a player I've kind of toyed with putting in my team for a little while now. He's 7 million, which is reasonably cheap, you would say. It's difficult to pick those midfielders, as always. So we're going to go for Paqueta. I'm going to put him in the team, and there we have 5 Brazil players. Looking pretty good, right? Looking pretty good. I like that. Right, next. Well, I mean, first of all, are we thinking about any Croatia players? Seriously? I'm going to actually say no. I'm going to say no, we probably don't want any Croatia players. Which is, it is what it is. Like, at the end of the day, when you're picking your players, when you're going for a team, we are trying to go for players who we think are going to progress in the tournament. That way we don't have to worry about making too many transfers in the following rounds. The more players we can have that carry through to the next round of the tournament, the better. So fair enough. If you do want to go for some Croatia players, I probably would not recommend it personally. Someone in the chat saying Vinicius Jr. over Neymar. I wouldn't say so. Vinicius Jr. is he's a great player, but he's not got the edge over Neymar. We are limited in those forward slots. Perisic, yeah. Do we think Croatia are going to score? And if they do, can we guarantee it's going to be via Perisic? Probably not. Sosa is 3.5 million. Yes, he is. But if you are going to go for, first of all, do you think Sosa is going to get any points? I don't think so. Brazil probably score a few goals against Sosa, and Sosa he's going to end up on your bench. You can start him in that opening game and kind of hope, I guess, but he's going to end up on your bench. So it's kind of a little bit of a waste of a slot. And if you're going to spend 3.5, I mean, actually, to be fair, can you still pick the super cheap defenders? Like if I go to Qatar, they've got, okay, so you can't pick any cheap defenders anymore. All right, who is the cheapest defender in the game? Is it still Sosa? Well, I guess so, yeah. I mean, if you're just looking to, you don't want a full squad, then I guess that works. You're happy to just roll with some players who aren't likely to play. I guess that's okay. Yeah, Sosa didn't play last game. I think it was illness. I think he was ill. So, hopefully he's going to be able to recover from his illness for the following game. But, okay. I see the logic. I see there's a way of doing that. Let's see how far we get in terms of budget. If we start running out of money, then maybe we might have to depend on Sosa, to be fair. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So, next fixture is Netherlands versus Argentina. Are we still feeling Messi? He's looking good at the moment, isn't he? Maybe we go for Messi there. I think that's a pretty good shout as our third forward. Other Argentina players and Netherlands players, difficult to call. So, look, if we go, we can maybe think that at this stage of the game, we might see more clean sheets. So is it worth trying to see who we think is going to keep the clean sheet? I don't think necessarily either Argentina or Netherlands are amazing defences. I don't think either of them are amazing defences necessarily. So it's difficult to say for sure kind of which one I prefer in terms of going for their defenders. But do we just spread it? Do we just go for a couple of defenders from there? Not sure. I think other Argentina players are very much optional. We don't really need to have them. I don't think there's not enough. That's probably. I don't know. Would you guys agree that game, Netherlands versus Argentina, is probably the hardest game to call? Argentina probably edge it, but again, do we want to go all in on that one? Not sure. Next fixture is Portugal, right? So let's skip over to Portugal for now, I reckon. Portugal versus Morocco. So first of all, I think Portugal defenders are a great place to start. So, Rafael Guerreiro, obviously Nuno Mendes is unavailable. He's going to be injured, so he's not going to be playing. So 5 million Rafael Guerreiro. He's been pretty decent as well going forward. I mean, let's actually have a look at the stats on that one. So we can have a look at the stats. Obviously, we're going to see Bruno Fernandes pretty high. Is it time to consider our good friend Ramos as well? Maybe. I mean, he did very well last game, and he is topping the charts here as well. But the difficulty with this is you would say that Ronaldo probably comes back in, right? Probably. Someone's saying Dallo in the chat. Cancelo's probably going to come back in, to be honest. So I don't think I'd be going for Dallo. I mean, it could be one of two things. We could see Cancelo on the left and Dallo on the right, or we could see Guerreiro on the left and Cancelo on the right. So it's going to be one of those two combinations. I think it's probably more likely that Guerreiro does start. But yeah, certainly if Dallo is starting, then that could be a really interesting shout as well. Aside from that, it's really difficult. There's not really many midfielders we can go for other than Bruno Fernandes. You probably would say that Bernardo Silva, you're not going to go on him ahead of Bruno. Do we go for Bruno just because he's the best midfielder remaining in the game? Probably. Do we go for a second defender? I would say, again, probably. We probably do go for a second defender here. So that's going to be kind of up to you. Cancelo typically gets the most attacking returns for Portugal. If we look historically at Cancelo, I mean, let's just do that. I like to back things. I don't like to just say things. I like to try and back it up with a little bit of stats or whatever. But if we go to Cancelo here, national team, this is on Transfer Marks, by the way, guys, a really handy website. If we look through these Portugal fixtures, over the last year, We've seen that he's scored against Czech Republic. He's scored against Switzerland, assist against Spain, assist against Azerbaijan. But yeah, certainly these, Czech Republic, Switzerland, Spain, attacking returns. These are pretty big fixtures, so that's pretty nice there. So yeah, I think that there's a good chance of a clean sheet if we can get some attacking returns as well. And then very possibly Costa in goal is a good opportunity as well. João Cancelo is rested, so I'm going to stick him in for now. And we will double up on the Portugal defence. Because I feel like now we've got 2 defender slots left. Much harder to call clean sheets in these other fixtures. Much harder. Netherlands, Argentina can see goals from both teams. England versus France, I can see goals from both teams. I can see it. So, okay, so maybe after that, you're pretty much just picking, I don't want to say random players, but I would probably be going for players with good chance of attacking returns. So, it's difficult. And by the way, on Cancelo, if it does turn out that there is a problem that is going to go, continue, then you can always make a last-minute switch and take him out for Dalot. Because Dalot is cheaper, so it's easy to make that downgrade. But yeah, we'll probably, for the rest of these teams, because clean sheets are less likely for the other teams, we want to attack and return. So Netherlands, attack and return type defenders, Dumfries, Daley Blind. Argentina, defenders with likely attacking returns, not really as much there. There's not really as many. Argentina defenders typically don't attack as much. They're kind of like Brazil defenders. They don't really, their job is to defend primarily, whereas the Netherlands defenders, we've got those 2 super attacking fullbacks that are quite nice. So yeah, maybe they're options. If we're cutting costs, I don't know if we will be cutting costs. I think we probably will be running out of budget very soon. But maybe Daley Blind is your man. Really difficult one to call. Let's put Dumfries in for now and we'll see where we go. Aside from that, again, we need to look for a defender with a good chance of attacking returns. For France, the only attacking defender that they have really is Theo Hernandez at 5 million. And for England, you would probably still say Shaw is the best attacking defender to go for. If we're saying France are slight favourites, maybe that lends itself to a not Lucas Hernandez, a Theo Hernandez. Where are you, Theo? You've disappeared from my life. Theo. There you are, my friend. So yeah, maybe that's the way. And then we go into midfield, and midfield is still absolutely impossible. Still impossible to call, and we don't have very much budget left. So where do we go in terms of midfielders? Really, really difficult. Who knows? I mean, I guess we just go for some cheap-ish guys who we think have got a chance of getting attacking returns. Davy Klaassen seems to be starting, and he's playing in those attacking positions, which is pretty nice. We have got, in terms of other slightly slightly cheaper players, like we can't go Casemiro, already tripled. We're already got 5 players quintupled up on Brazil. Boufal, he plays pretty well, doesn't he? But are we going to be going for him? Hakim Ziyech, 7 million. You could do a lot worse. You can do a lot worse than going for him, I guess. So maybe he's in the conversation. It's saying I've got 8.5 million budget left, but actually I've got, 13.5 because, can't bother to explain. Basically, when you start a fresh team, they give you 100 budget, but all of you guys will have 105 budget. So remember, even though it says 8.5 budget, I do actually have 13.5 to spend on these remaining 2 players, but which is still not a lot of money, to be fair. It's one midfielder and 1 goalkeeper, so we need a goalkeeper and a midfielder. All right, other goal. We'll leave the goalkeeper to last, because the good thing about Alisson is he pretty much covers you. You don't need to worry too much. So midfielders. Who are the best midfielders? Look through here. Frankie de Jong plays too deep, doesn't typically score. Phil Foden, yes, good shout, but plays against France. Is that going to be too much for us? Quite possibly. It's a worrying one, but we could go Phil Foden. Angel Di Maria, what's the situation with him? Not really sure. Luka Modric. Yeah, going to be a difficult game for him. Bukayo Saka. If you've got... I'm really tempted to back England in a way and go for a Saka or a Foden. Like, I already have Saka in my team, so I might just keep him, to be honest. But there are some other options here, I guess. So, yeah, the ones I like the most, what I'm seeing on screen, are Foden, Saka. Bellingham is okay, but I'd only go for him if I couldn't afford Saka or Foden. Saka or Foden I definitely prefer. And we'll back that one up with stats as well, I reckon, because, you know, stats are goated. By the way, Bellingham, what a tournament he's having. What a tournament he is having. Incredible stuff. But yeah, non-penalty expected goals plus assists. Per 90, we are seeing Phil Foden and Saka really high up. So if they're going to be starting, which we think they are, then that's going to be really, really nice. Foden just edging it over Saka as well in terms of per minute played. So, yeah, maybe if you can afford Foden, that's a good way to go. But yeah, like, where do we go? DePaul, maybe? Seems a bit boring. If Di Maria is back, yeah, he's definitely a shout. Definitely one that you guys could be considering. Maybe. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to have, like, a little bit of money to spend on this last midfielder because we've gone quite cheap in some of the other areas. So, I would probably say, for me, it's between Foden. I'm actually going to go ahead and say Foden and Di Maria if he's back. We'll assume Di Maria is not back until we hear otherwise. So, let's go for Foden. And that would, technically, I know you can't see it on screen, but it would leave us 5 million left for a goalkeeper. And Diogo Costa. Pretty obvious for a 5 million goalkeeper. Works for me. That works for me. Works for me. John Nellis in the chat. John Nellis, when are you getting your YouTube verified tick? I hope you've applied for it because that is an exciting time when you get that. So, yeah, that's probably what I would say. So that team plus our good friend Diogo Costa in goal as that second goalkeeper. That team looks pretty good. Obviously, there's no Mbappe in this team. Couple of reasons for that. Mbappe, first of all, not been pictured in training. Second of all, let's be real. England are not the worst defence in the tournament. And if we're looking for a player to get those mega points, and forward slots are so precious. They are precious little babies that we absolutely have to treasure and cherish. So therefore, I think to me it makes sense to double up on Brazil with Neymar and Richarlison. And Leo Messi is looking stronger and stronger in this tournament. He really is. On those set pieces as well, which is very nice. Lots of things to love. So I think, controversially, maybe we can do without Mbappe for this match day. But at the same time, if anyone wants to go for Mbappe, he's still a fantastic pick. It's just there is just many options in the forward slots. I mean, I can see people in the chat saying, you know, different forwards that you could potentially go for. No England players, lad. We've got Foden there. Yeah, but certainly, like, as a template, as a basic structure, what I'd be trying to do is pick the players that you think are very obviously going through. So Brazil plays against Croatia, that's where you start. Portugal players versus Morocco, you carry on from there, and then you fill in the gaps. In many ways, you fill in the gaps. So there we go. That's probably what I would say right now. What I'm thinking right now as my favourite wild card team for match day 5. It's just a case of how I get there. Yeah, get that application going, John. No Ronaldo, no. Nah, I don't think so. Morocco at Defend FC. Yes, they are, but I mean, where else are we going in midfield? Where else are we going? No Ramos. Yeah, I mean, do you really think Ramos is likely to start? Yes, he did very well. But is he going to start ahead of Ronaldo? I don't know. I mean, we can say there's a good chance of it happening. And I agree. There's a good chance that Ramos does start. But is there a good enough chance that we would just go all in on that? I don't know. forward slots are so precious. It's not really the kind of position I want to be taking risks on. But that's me personally. Like, you guys are gonna have different opinions and different styles of playing the game. You know, like, I rate it. Go for whatever you feel works for you. But yeah, that's where we kind of leave on in terms of a wildcard team, and I think that looks pretty good, to be honest. I think that looks pretty good. Midfielders are a bit stinky, but that's just where we're at. If England had a nicer fixture, then Foden and Saka would have been really nice to go for, but they don't. Yeah, where do you go? So, all right, let's pivot away from that now. So we've done that. We've got that rough team. I want to switch back to my actual team. So let's just take that. And let's do some Q&A stuff as well, guys. So if you've got any questions, any things you want me to talk about or look up or have a reference of, and we'll have a little, look at anything, let me know in the chat now, because we'll be answering some questions, or as many questions as we can. And by the way, guys, we've got a couple of videos planned for the next couple of days whilst we just wait for some questions to come in. So I'm going to do a tier list video. That's going to be out this evening, I think. We're gonna list a load of players that I think you guys are going to be talking about, and we're going to put them all on a tier list. And also, we're going to be doing a team selection video tomorrow, which is going to be about what I'm planning on doing with my team. But of course, nothing is ever final until the deadline. But just to give you a good idea of what I'm thinking for my team, we're going to do that on Friday. Obviously, today we've already had the wildcard team, if you like. So Friday is going to be very much about my team and what I'm kind of thinking of doing and what kind of players I think are priorities in terms of bringing in. And then on Friday, wait, that's on Thursday, so tomorrow. Then on Friday, we're going to do a deadline stream. So yeah, I appreciate we've missed a couple of deadline streams. I've been pretty busy recently, sadly. But yeah, we are going to do a deadline stream on Friday at 2 p.m. UK time, just before the big Brazil game, I guess. The big Brazil versus Croatia game. So we're going to be hopefully locking in our teams as much as we can. One more tip I should probably say before I forget this one. So we've got 5 transfers to use ahead of this match day. I would probably recommend trying to save 1 or 2 and using them to react to different things. I imagine most of your teams look pretty good as it is. I would try and use a couple of transfers to get in the right Brazil players. But after you've done that, I think I would seriously be considering trying to save a couple, because then you can react to team news, and it may even allow you to save a couple of transfers to use to start planning for match day 6 as well, the semi-finals. So yeah, that's definitely something I'd be considering doing. So there we go. But right now, for my transfer, I'm thinking Mbappe to Neymar, get that extra million in the bank, and then start playing around from there. See where we can go. I mean, I like my team quite a lot, to be honest. So I would not be looking to go too mad with my team. I think I'm pretty much there with my team anyway. I mean, maybe I could go for another Netherlands player if I think they're going to do well. Luke Shaw potentially up to Dumfries. I think is probably somewhere I'd be looking at. Something like that. Aside from that, I'm pretty close. I'm pretty close to what I actually want anyway. Okay, so let's have a look. So will Cancelo play? Good question. Will Cancelo play? Possibly is probably the best answer there. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with him. I don't think he's got a serious injury. He was on the bench. So can we find out? Is there anything come out that is giving us an idea of what's going on? Is there any news about injury that's come out? I've not seen anything, but we'll have a thorough check here. Does anyone answer this one? Okay, I don't think anyone knows. I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any injuries here. There's not been anything that's come out from injury. So unless anyone's got a source on that one, my prediction would probably be that he does play. I don't think there's too much reason to think that he would be benched in a game like that. I think it's a rest. what else have we got here? So Vinny over Neymar? No, definitely not. Neymar has better underlying statistics, and Neymar is on all set pieces, including penalties. So, yeah, Neymar is a better football player as well. He's going to be looking to play more minutes. Neymar is more likely to play more minutes. Unless Brazil are up by several goals, we will see Neymar play, right up to 85, 90 minutes every game, which is something that's important as well. He's the star of the show. So yeah, Neymar over Vinicius Jr. is really obvious to me. If you were Southgate, which lineup would you start versus France? This is a difficult question. I'm not going to answer this as me because I don't think it's very useful to answer it as me. But I think probably I'll do a similar thing to what I think Southgate is going to do anyway. And basically there's two options. The first option is pretty much an identical lineup to what we saw against Senegal. So let's just bring that up. So England versus Senegal. So if we look at the lineup here, Pickford in goal, Walker, Stones, Maguire, Shaw, Henderson, Rice, Bellingham in field, and Saka, Kane, and Foden as the three forwards. And I think what we're going to see is something very, very similar. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a team exactly the same, but the possibility is that we do see maybe Henderson drop out of the team, Kyle Walker move to a right centre-back position, and either Trippier or Trent Alexander-Arnold come in as a right wing-back. So it would be 5 at the back or 3 at the back, depending on how full your cup is. My cup is half full and not half empty. Yeah, that's probably the most obvious one. Another option is to potentially bring in, potentially bring in Rashford instead of probably Foden. I don't know how likely that is. I think aside from those few things, I think the team is pretty much set as it is. I don't expect many changes going into the next game. One possible change is Henderson out for one of Trippier or Alexander-Arnold, and the other possible change is Foden out for Rashford. I don't think the second one is very likely, but I can see how it's possible. I think Saka should start still. He's played well, and he has a lot of energy on that right-hand side and does quite well. He's often, I don't want to say isolated over there, but he certainly occupies a lot of space over there, as England do naturally seem to play a lot down the left-hand side. And we do see Shaw getting up the pitch further up than the right back. We do see Bellingham, charging forward a little bit more than the likes of, I guess, Henderson on the other side. And we do see Kane sort of kind of drifting off to the left-hand side a little bit. So we do see a lot of space out there on the right for Saka, and his energy levels has been really, really appreciated over there, and he's not put a foot wrong. He's a naturally right-hand sided player, where I think Foden and Rashford definitely do prefer to play on the left, and they are better on the left as well. Foden in particular, I think Foden on the left is just unbeatable. So yeah, definitely something we should be thinking about. Vanish says Messi, Mbappe and Richarlison and Neymar as 12th man. I would probably say Mbappe as the 12th man, because he's the most expensive and you're unlikely to captain him. Alex says Depay, Gakpo, Messi, Neymar, Richarlison, Kane and Mbappe. Who are the main forward options? Well, I would say Neymar, Richarlison and Messi are the 3 main forward options. I mean, we want to be targeting fixtures a little bit here, and certainly fixtures suggest that Brazil versus Croatia game is pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Liverpool Anfield Legendary says they should have given another wild card. I had to use all of my 5 transfers because teams are out. You had a free wild card for the round of 16, and from the round of 16, a big part of the game, and this continues, is that we're trying to predict who's going to go further on in the tournament. So, for example, in my team, I don't think Croatia are going to go further on in the tournament, so there's a good chance that I take out Perisic, because I want to set myself up not just for this round, but for the following round. I think so far in this tournament, before match day 5, so before now, we have been in a situation where you could pretty much have a wild card every single match day, and therefore planning for the future has not really been a thing. But last match day, we got unlimited transfers, yes, but that was very much a match day where we needed to start thinking about planning for the future a little bit as well. So there we go. Why is Mbappe out? Why won't he play? He just missed training yesterday. I don't know if that actually means he's injured. It could have been a rest day. We know that he has not been at 100% at certain points. You know, he has felt little things in his muscles at certain points in the tournament. So maybe it was just a well-deserved rest. So look, I'm not saying that Mbappe is injured, but he didn't train yesterday. And it's definitely one to keep an eye on. We've got 2 days to keep an eye on that one for sure. Remove McAllister? If yes, for who? Yeah, I would probably remove McAllister. The best midfielders, you know, Paqueta, if you can afford him, I'd probably consider going for him. Cancelo hasn't been any good even before he was dropped. Yeah, I mean, you could say that over the course of a couple of match days. And yeah, you could say Dalot's a better option. And you can say you prefer Dalot or whoever else to Cancelo, but that's fine. That's absolutely fine if you feel that way. But at the end of the day, Cancelo has gained a reputation over years of being one of, if not the best fullback on the planet. If he has a couple of dodgy games, that doesn't freeze him out completely. So there we go. What's the wild hack? There's no. Well, there is still a wild card hack, but I'm not going to talk about it today. I would recommend going to look. There's other people who have made full videos just dedicated to the wild card hack, so I would go check that out. But the base, I'll say it in very, very short terms because I know most people don't have wildcards, but the basic way the wildcard hack works is that you basically, you use your wildcard, you make exactly the team you want for one match day. So for this game week, for example, or match day, for example, it'll be making your wildcard team for match day 5, making your perfect team, and then during that match day 5 final game, so the final game in match day 5, which is England versus France, during that game, at least 1 minute into that game, you still have unlimited transfers, so you continue to make transfers to set your team up for the following match day. Now, the big caveat of this one is once you transfer out a player, they are out of your team, they're gone. So be careful with that, the wildcard hack. I think that's pretty much it. I'm sure someone else can do a slightly better explanation, though. Okay, let's see. Should Hakimi be considered? I mean, potentially. If you fancy Morocco to go through, keep a clean sheet and go through against Portugal, then Hakimi should be considered, absolutely. Power captain, I don't know. I don't know if it's the right time for a power captain because I think because we've got this Brazil versus Croatia game, I think that game gives you a good captain options, obvious captain options. And I think after this, assuming the favourites get knocked out, whether the favourites don't get knocked out, the favourites keep going on in the tournament, it's going to become more and more difficult to pick a captain. Right now, it's still quite easy. Not super easy. I mean, I've made an absolute mess of it, so maybe I need the power captain. But, you know, to captain Neymar against Croatia, seems reasonably obvious. And going into the next round, if you've got like a whole, you know, obviously this match day, probably the most difficult one to call, or one of the most difficult ones to call, and definitely a difficult one in terms of fantasy, is England versus France, to an extent where we're probably not going to be going for too many players from that fixture. Now in the semi-finals and in the final round, which also includes the third place playoff, that is pretty much just going to be England versus France type fixtures. It's going to be Brazil's and Portugal's and Argentina's, you know, one of England or France. It's going to be tough teams all the way. And in those fixtures, there's no big player against slightly smaller team at that point. It's all big players against big teams. And that's the kind of situation where it's hard to pick out a captain. So for me, I think, yes, there are benefits to going for you know, your power captain at this point. There's definitely is benefits to it. So I'm not writing that off as an option. I think it is an option. But on the other hand, I feel like particularly the third place playoff game is a nothing game. And that's going to happen in match day 7. And there is potential for high scores in that match day. But who knows where it's going to come from. So I'm thinking right now, power captain in match day 7. That's where I'm personally thinking that I'm going to be using mine. There's also, you know, look, we've got 3 rounds left. there is no bad match day to use it in, I don't think. But because there is that, what I quite like is, a big hero coming out in the World Cup final, or an absolute demolishing goal fest, something crazy happening in the third place playoff. And again, because of that final match day, you're only going to be picking from 4 teams, right? So you have 2 fixtures and 4 teams. So even if you say, oh, I think I'm going to go for a Brazil player, for example, do you go for Neymar or Richarlison or Marquinhos? I'm going to go for an England player. Do I go for Kane, Saka, Foden, Luke Shaw? I'm going to go for a France player. Mbappe, Giroud, Griezmann, Theo Hernandez. So difficult to call. So you can have all of these players and have it just select the best one out of it. So you have all of these players who are playing in these games. You're not really sure who is going to be the star of the show. Yes, you can predict that an Mbappe would be, but if it's a low-scoring game, and maybe it's decided by a set piece and a defender scores a header from a corner, something like that, then maybe that is an option there. Think back to the Euros final last year. Who were people captaining in the Euros final last year for fantasy? We were captaining Kane. We were captaining Immobile. No one would have called that Luke Shaw would have been the highest scoring player in that game in terms of fantasy points. Very difficult. So when we've got these fine margins, you don't really know who's going to score points. And when we've got these huge margins, where in the third place playoff, where there might be a bit of rotation, random tactics might be being trialed, and who knows what's going to happen in a game like that. It's often a very, very crazy game. Then it's very nice to have that power captain to just do the work for you. It is hard. It's going to be hard to pick out a player there. Can you play your power captain and 12 man? No, you have to use them in different match days. When's the FPL content back? I think I'm going to start the FPL content back between the semi-finals and the final. We'll do a couple of videos between, in that kind of area, but just before the final of the World Cup. And then as soon as the World Cup is finished, if England are in the final, and if England win the World Cup, which I'm not saying is going to happen, then I'm going to get very drunk and probably be a write-off for the Monday. But if not, then I will probably, be straight back to work on Fantasy Premier League content, to be honest. So there we go. So yeah, that's when the FPL content will be back. Will Guerrero start for Portugal? I think so. Mbappe is not injured, guys. Yeah, I don't know if he's injured for sure. We just know he missed training. Thoughts on Danilo and Rabiot? Rabiot is, don't expect too many points from him. You're probably not going to get too many points from him. And to be honest, at this stage of the tournament, for our midfielders, we're probably going to be relying a lot on tackles and key passes to get any kind of points from them. Really, it's going to be difficult for midfielders moving forward. Danilo, I think, is fine, assuming he starts. I think the problem is if Telles or Sandro comes back on that left-hand side, I think there is a good chance that Militao plays at right back. So that's the only thing that worries me about Danilo. So right now, at this exact moment, the safest bets from Brazil in terms of their defensive players are going to be Alisson and Marquinhos, and Thiago Silva as well. But remember, we're going to get team news. So there we go. Is the shirt you wear for the Nigerian national? Yeah, this is the Nigeria shirt. Jerry Baker says it's coming home. You are coming home pissed. I hope you're right. The party won't stop. If England win the World Cup, this country is going to go absolutely crazy. But we've got to get past France first, which is, we don't know. When is the deadline? The deadline is at 3 p.m. on Friday, UK time. So we're going to be doing a deadline stream on 2 p.m. Okay, so someone says there's a quote that's saying that Mbappe is training indoors on a recovery session. So fortunately, it sounds like he's going to be available. Is Militao guaranteed to be playing? No, I don't think there's a guarantee there, no. Are you going to captain Fernandes? Probably not. I don't know why the captain's armband is on him. Let's switch it to... Let's put it on Richarlison for now. But it's probably going to be at Neymar, if I'm honest. But yeah, I think we're going to pretty much leave it there for today, guys, because I do want to go and make a start on the the tier list video. I just love making tier list videos. So yeah, I'm going to put in a load of players in the tier list that I think you guys are interested in. And to be fair, from today's chat, we've seen, I've got a good idea of the kind of players that you guys are interested in and talking about. So we'll try and make sure we throw some of them in that video as well. I'm not sure what time that's going to be out. It could be pretty late, to be honest. I might put it out like 9 p.m. or something like that, just to give people a chance to watch this video as well. But there we go. Thank you guys for watching so much. If you've got any other comments, do leave them, especially if you're watching this as a replay. Feel free to leave a comment and I'll try and have a look through some of those as well. Make sure you do leave a like before you disappear from this stream. Massively appreciate you guys joining me from today. Subscribe if you haven't done already. I think we're very close to 163,000 subscribers, so maybe we hit that today or tomorrow. But that's pretty much going to be it from me today. Hopefully see a few of you guys over on the videos over the next couple of days and on the stream on Friday. But until then, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.